Trying to find the most excellent angle. Awesome. Just wanted to make sure that no one is able to see too far into the house, because I just don't really want the whole inside of the house available to be seen online. Just doesn't seem like a good idea. So the topic of today's video is, for lack of a vision, the people perish. And this is basically going to be me going through, I'm trying to make daily videos where I just spend an hour going over things I think, because I don't really know how to put them into their own videos. And there's so much stuff I want to talk about. So I start making, this is good, I'm going on a rant, which is what I'm trying to do. So basically, I start making videos on topics that I find interesting or that I find relevant. And it can become kind of exhausting because I'm trying to constantly think, I'm constantly using a certain part of my brain that's more to do with like problem solving. I'm trying to like, okay, idea, how am I going to turn this into a video? Think, create, etc. Idea, how am I going to turn this? And it's more of a problem solving part of my brain, where what I'm trying to engage when I'm even making those videos is the more free associative part of my brain, because that's the part of my brain that's honestly smarter. It knows more. It has access to more information, can creatively problem solve better. And that part of my brain can just generate stuff infinitely. It's actually very cathartic for me to put out information that way. I think this is part of being high in trait openness, and partially an intelligence thing, being like I'm basically constantly inundated with ideas and I feel a constant drive to create. And this is an amazing creative outlet because I can just go in that free associative creative state, get my creative outlet all good, and I can share ideas with you and really start to find my voice, because that's something you need to do. Find my voice, figure out how I'm going to express these ideas by just repping out hours and hours and hours of expressing these ideas, which is awesome. This brings me another thing I like. This is such a great idea. This is why I like this. So like reps, like getting in reps are important for anything you try to do. So when I was selling health coaching, I put in a ton of reps into sending messages, into refining my sales process, refining aspects of my sales process, and it really, really helped my sales process overall. It made it possible, because without constant repetition, there's really nothing to, you can't do anything. I mean, that's how kids learn to walk, constantly trying and failing. So anyway, though, I lack fluency, or at least I lack experience expressing ideas through the medium of video. And I kind of like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like some YouTubers, you see them doing their whole thing with like crayons and they draw and they have their whole thing. Then you have other people who have it's animated online, and other people it's very, very edited and cut. I don't want to do something that's very, very edited and cut, because first of all, it's another skill I have to learn. I don't really have the money to pay someone to do that right now, or the time to learn how to do that well, or the time to do that with the video as well. And besides, if you're going to follow me, you're going to follow me because you either like my personality, you like what I'm trying to do, or you like the information I'm sharing. None of which really have anything to do with the content or how entertainingly the content is presented. At least I don't really want it to. I mean, maybe you find me entertaining. Maybe I'll become more entertaining as I become better at speaking and become more expressive at speaking. Like, there's a lot of public speakers I see, like Jordan Peterson's really good. Owen Cook is very good. Joe Rogan. I mean, like, just anyone you see who has a YouTube channel, podcast, they have this public speaking skill, or they have the ability to market the particular flavor of speech that they're good at to a certain audience. So I think it's a combination of both. I mean, first of all, I think I'm going to get better at, I think it's a lot of things. I think it's like, I definitely have to get better at expressing ideas. I have to be able to be more free associative on camera more quickly, more easily, while staying on a topic and just organize my ideas. It's a certain thing. Like if you've never done it before, it's its own thing. I don't really want to plan out videos because that's going to decrease the amount of videos I'm able to make. I have to spend time planning them. And being able to free associate and just share information is definitely a skill I want to develop, because I also want to do live events at some point. I want to do live trainings, and I'm going to need to be able to speak free associatively there and problem solve there. So that's just what I have to do. This is just what I have to do, is reps, reps, reps. So I'm thinking about all the different styles. And again, I'm thinking like, okay, I could be on different platforms. Why am I on YouTube? And I'm just going to keep going on for the next, like, however long, honestly, about what I'm particularly doing right now, because this is part of the vision. And then I'll get into maybe tomorrow my vision for the world, the world's vision, where the world seems to be going, how things, like how I plan interacting with the world, how other people through me can join me in this vision, how you can just the whole vision thing. Like I quote Proverbs in the beginning of the title. And the reason for that is because it's true. For lack of a vision, the people perish. And the people perish because if you don't have a vision to orient yourselves around, if you don't have some goal in mind, then you can't really effectively orient yourself at all. So my vision for myself right now is to consistently make enough money to pay the bills and like just kind of like move out of my apartment, get a house, get a little more space, not worry about paying the bills, not worry about like buying food or anything. And like, I'm not like worrying about buying food in the sense of like I'm starving, but it's like, I really strongly believe there are benefits to eating all organic food. I cannot afford to eat all organic food right now. It's like, it's driving me nuts. It really is driving me crazy. It's like, if I could afford to eat all organic food, then I could experience the health benefits of that, which probably make me more productive, et cetera. But that could be more expensive. So but like, I mean, I've got a home services thing with my brother that we're kicking off. And after our success, it's a cat. After our success in the Christmas lights, I'm confident that we'll be able to rustle up the money. So, but yeah, I mean, like that's part of where I'm at. And I'm like, okay, so part of my vision is the home services thing, just because I want to support myself without relying on the money I'm making from health coaching or anything health related. So because I don't want to have money as a bias in my business. I don't want to be making decisions from a money motivated standpoint. Long term, ultimately, I'm selfish. I think it'll hurt my business. I think that my unique advantage is that, or one of my unique advantages, is that I can be basically entirely. I can be, well, I have to be, because like, I mean, first of all, if I put like crappy ingredients and stuff, I can't sleep. So it doesn't really help me at all. So like, and then also like the main reason I'm doing this is, again, I have a certain vision of the world. Like I don't want to be in a world where people keep on suffering from all these diseases and stuff, and human potential, human cognitive ability, our ability to invent things. Like, again, I'll keep going on my rant. So like people, so right now, today, there are more people than there ever have been. And because of that, I really believe because of that, one reason because of that, we have more wealth than we've ever had. A lot of that's also aggregated information. You have the classic, I don't know how classic it is to you, but like a printing press, or first like language is invented. Now we can talk about things and remember things. And then writing is invented. Now we can write things down. We don't have to remember everything. Then the printing press is invented. But like thousands of years, I mean, like the increments get smaller, but there's like language, writing, printing press, then like printers, then like, well, I guess like mail. Like it all has to do with the dispersal of information and how quickly you can get information across to people. So and store information, because if I figure out how to treat some disease that's killing people and I live in Zimbabwe and I can communicate that to everyone in the world instantaneously, now no one has to die of that disease anymore. And then more people alive, more cognitive ability, more manual people just to like do stuff. So labor becomes cheaper. A lot of incentives become more to like work on more information, essentially information based services, which I really believe will save the world. I just have like some blood on my head, blood nose earlier. But I believe information based services will really save the world because right now, in something like we have the ability to feed everyone on the planet, but we're not. Why? I think largely because the information is not out there. Like we haven't been able to effectively communicate to everyone on the planet why feeding everyone is a good idea. Like really, like if we could effectively, but now it's easier though because we have smartphones. So smartphones enable people to communicate. Like everyone's got one of these in their pocket. So that means you can watch me. You can go. So what you can literally do with a smartphone is, let's say you have like a health problem. You can go online and you can research your health problem. So I want to put out lots of information on the stuff I know about so people can find me. It's got like, it's like wetness. It's raining outside, so it could just be like precipitation that got in my mustache. But like, just get like a handkerchief and like casually. Dude, that's classier, you know. I'm trying to like be real, but also be classy. I don't know how to do either of those things terribly well. I guess I'm pretty good at being real, very good at being real, I'd say. But classy too. I'm trying to develop, you know, like class. I'm just like not just sitting in front of you, just wiping my nose. You're just, you know, like casually, like having great thoughts. So, but anyway, though, so. Yeah. So you have a health problem and you're suffering from this health problem. So you can find my stuff, you can find some other people's stuff. You could get the information necessary to solve the health problem. And then from solving the health problem, I mean, then you could tell people how you solved it specifically. So we all know how your unique case specifically works. Took some supplements earlier and they had my stomach acid. Always burp. So if you're like, why is he burping? Because some people have asked me that. They're like, why is this guy burping? It's like I take like salt and magnesium. Screw people in their questions. Freaking annoy me. Anyway, gotta not swear though, YouTube will down-regulate me. But anyway, though, so yeah, so you solve your health problem. Now you don't have to die, which is awesome. Also, though, like let's say you have a health problem that modern medicine can solve. There's benefits because now modern medicine can get the information around faster. Like everyone gets the information faster. There's a easier way to chop up wood. Everyone finds it out faster. There's a better way to ship steel. The price of steel shipment goes down. There's an easier way to store electricity. More people can get access to information to learn physics to figure out better ways to store electricity. So basically, the widespread dispersal of information through these things benefits everyone if we can use it properly. So this is actually awesome. I'm glad. I'm like, there's a stream of consciousness I try to tie into, and I kind of have to detach from it at certain points because it's just so compelling. Like I have to do something when I'm like in it. So glad I can get back into it. Okay, awesome. So this is what these live streams are going to be. So, because like the future can be better or it can be worse. We can live in 1984 or we can live in a really cool vision of the world that looks something like Star Wars and Elon Musk and like abundance. You know what I mean? Like right now, for instance, I'm in a house. This house is warm. This warmth is provided by electricity. The electricity is generated and provided through a grid. None of this stuff existed 100 years ago. But now I get the benefit of that because of dispersal of information allowing for people to, and then essentially we become wealthier because resources aren't finite. So what is a resource? Well, resource is anything you can turn into a resource. A tree isn't a resource unless I have the ability to cut down a tree. Well, a tree is a resource insofar as I could climb the tree, I could gather food from the tree, I could get leaves from the tree. Oh, damn itchy nose. But anyway, though, so get like leaves from the tree, I can get shelter from the tree, I can like birds can like climb in the tree and then they can like I can like shoot them, you know, maybe be friends with the birds, whatever. So trees are resources to the extent that you can use a tree. So let's put it even again. Even your own mind is a resource to the extent that you can use it, which is so interesting. I realized this recently having children and not having enough time to think. Like time to think. Like if you have two people, now your mind is more useful because I can say, hey, you make sure I don't die and nothing kills me. And I'm going to sleep, and then I'm going to think about how to solve a problem. Or like you get food all fixed. You know what I mean? Like you become more useful to yourself with others. And this effect just compounds and compounds and compounds because, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to have kids, because when my kids get older, they will become smarter and more with it. And they can like look at the world and then they can tell me stuff that I don't know because I'm just busy working on other stuff. So I can homeschool them. And then as part of their education, I mean, homeschool them in a collaborative, whatever, but I can give them projects as part of the homeschooling collaborative that are things that I'm legitimately interested in. So you know what I mean? Because I can learn it while they're learning it to make sure they're learning it properly. But I can also learn something new. And maybe they can teach it to me. And the hallmark of their being good at learning is going to be their ability to teach me something new. That's cool because teaching people also helps with learning. So I can also learn things that other people learn too. So other people are useful. Like the greater population means there are more people researching chemistry. Like we're at a point now. This wasn't the case at one point in history, but we're at a point. I don't really know. But I mean, we're at a point where like the rate of information being published and discovered is so great. I mean, I don't know how good the information is. I mean, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad information. Because like information itself is, maybe it's like a nervous tick. Like my nose gets itchy when I'm like, I feel like I got this pressure on me or something. I don't know. Because my nose just feels really itchy. But it doesn't normally feel like this. But yeah, it's definitely a nervous tick. So I'm more self-conscious of my face. Psychology. Like Jesse. Chemistry. But anyway, so yeah, so we have like more and more people figuring out stuff. So let's say this greater population is so beneficial to everyone. So we actually become wealthier. So all the people who thought that overpopulation would kill everyone, they were all wrong. Overpopulation isn't going to kill everyone. It's actually going to make you wealthier because now there's more people to do stuff. So like, you know how you're like, oh, I think this, like I'm driving and I'm like, why don't we have like really, really well-constructed roads that like don't need to be repaired like the ancient Romans that are also like self-draining? Like I just think these things. I'm like, why don't we have these like really beautifully elaborate, amazing road structures that are just super well thought out? It's like, well, because you know the people to figure it out. It just takes a lot of time and energy and effort to figure that stuff out. And a lot of like brain power. And there's only so many very intelligent people. Or there's only so many people with the creativity or the stick-it-to-itiveness or all the qualities you need to create a great idea and follow it through to completion. There's only so many people with those qualities or with the ability to actualize it. So that's another thing too. So there's such this interesting thing going on in the world where, so you also need certain resources to even actualize those qualities. Because right now, like I have the resources because of like my parents and my society and everything to like be married, which is cool. I mean, this is like a problem. It's kind of like, in some ways it's like embarrassing, but in other ways it's like, it is what it is and it is what it be. And like, we all just do what we do. But like the reason like I can be married and have kids right now and like not die is because I can like rely to some degree on my parents and, or like have like to greater extents in the past. And it's like, I think that's bad because I'll bring this into this problem I want to talk about today because it says, I was thinking this morning, I saw this Brett Weinstein video where he was talking about pornography and the issue of pornography and this dichotomy of the OnlyFans woman and the incel and like where this is coming from. And I think that this is like, it's bad. I mean, like pornography is really like exposure to pornography is bad. And pornography is insanely addictive. Talk to any dude. Anyone being honest with you will tell you it's insanely addictive. Like anyone who's been able to stop using it, or even if they haven't, like if they're being honest, they'll tell you it's insanely addictive. It's really, really addictive. And it's just like easy peasy way to quit porn though, guys. If you having issues with that, that's the audiobook. Or girls too, if you're having issues, the audiobook is available on the internet on YouTube for free. Audio recording of it. It's his book based on Easy Way to Quit Smoking for Quitting Pornography. Works really well. Has some adaptations for quitting pornography, but it's the easy peasy way to quit pornography. You can just type that right into the YouTube search. I'll probably link it down below. But anyway, though, so, and it's embarrassing to talk about too, because it's like pornography, but it's like, I was first exposed to pornography at like 11 on the internet. Just I wasn't even looking for it legitimately. Like later on, I was, but but at first though, like the first exposure, like at like 12 and 13, like 12 months later, 13 months later, I did again I did look for it, but the first time I was exposed to it, I didn't look for it for like a year after. It was just it was like a random like thing. It was just like I wasn't even like looking for it. I was like looking for like it's like kid pick software. It was like this editing software that was popular when I was a kid in like elementary school, like kid picks. Like I think it's like kid pay like PIX or something, kid picks or whatever. Anyway, so I was like trying to find the software online, and like I didn't come across child porn because that'd be like horrible. But I just came across like regular pornography, and it was like how does that happen? Like that's crazy that you can come across it not even like looking for it specifically, like not even looking for it at all, like looking for like graphic design software that has nothing to do with it. And that's just like, and then like lots of people look for it, and then it's just like it's so ingrained in the culture that if you watch movies, like the movies will like hint at pornography. So it's like you can't, it's so, I think about it all the time, like how I'm going to like educate my kids on pornography and sex in this culture because it's really crazy. Like, and the weirdest thing of all is people who think that like sex and porn and everything in this culture isn't weird. Like I'm like, you think it isn't weird? I mean, first of all, like there's like 25% of pregnancies in the United States end in abortion, which is horrible. I mean, that's like it's like higher in France. I think France is like 66%, like 70% or something. Like it's really high. Abortion's really common. So there's that. And then there's also like all the people who are avoiding having children with various contraceptive methods. I don't care about that morally. Like abortion, I think is morally horrible, but like that's a contraceptive they're there for. Like use them. Like don't. But it's like also though you're kind of killing off your future offspring because in like let's say I was an evil person who wanted to commit genocide. Not I'm not. I really am not. But let's say I was. I would be like, how can I just either convince everyone to not reproduce or sterilize everyone? And I don't really care to pursue the sterilized train of thought right now, but like, let's just look at like to convince people to not reproduce. One thing that's definitely happening is people are delaying having children. And I think that, again, this is part of like, for lack of a vision, the people perish. I gotta go to the bathroom. Take a leak. Downside of being very hydrated. So, anywho, okay, so people delaying having children. So people delaying having children, I think that is a lot of it's economic and the whole education system, basically. Like we've basically made it so that a college degree is mandatory to get into any sort of job that pays a living wage, but it doesn't even really because like you just look at the cost. I don't care to get into all of that. Like the money today and the jobs today do not buy the same thing. I mean, this is where it's interesting. So, and why I think that people are awesome, but I think that kind of like we need people to get more inspired. So, the cost of living relative to, and the cost of housing and everything relative to wages has gone up, but in certain ways, the buying power of the dollar is also greater because our ability to get information through these is there. And lots of other things didn't exist that like cars are better technology. A lot of technology is better, improved in certain ways. We have more technology. I mean, there has been a lull in inventing technology. Like we haven't really invented that many new technologies, but at least very recently. But there's maybe quantum computing will be something really interesting, but we're at least getting better at using the technologies we have through things like this. And I think that will allow for more dispersal of information, which will allow people to educate themselves more and therefore create more technologies and more opportunities in more basic ways that we can use things that were not perceived as resources to make everyone collectively wealthier, which does continuously happen. Like there are more trees now than there were 100 years ago. Like we've actually created more trees because we've gotten better at foresting. So now we're not mostly cutting down trees, we're planting trees. We're actually so good at it, we're creating more trees. So people are really, really good at using resources when we think about it, like the oceans too. I mean, we kind of went a little far with the ocean harvesting, but they've created offshore no fish areas and stuff. And I don't want to get it super far into it, but like humans are really good when you look at things at correcting course. Like there's really no reason to believe the human race is going to be extinct. Like I don't want to get into the whole climate, whatever, because that's nonsense. But I mean, at least in the fact that like humans being extinct, but that's again, I think this is the symptom of, for lack of a vision, that people perish. Like we literally live in a world where people are killing their babies, like 25% abortions in the United States, like 70% abortion rate or around that in France. This is according to my sociology class that was pro-abortion, which I had to take at UMass. So maybe they're trying to make it seem more popular. Go look into those statistics or whatever. But I mean, the point is like it's really popular. I mean, it's not like it's like 3%, 1%, 0.1%. It's like well in the double-digit percents, for the United States, definitely. And like possibly the majority of pregnancies in Europe, which is just like, or at least certain European countries, which is like mind-blowing. So I think it's this lack of a vision thing because we don't have a vision. I mean, we literally have people who are saying like, there will be no people alive in 50 years because of global warming. And that's nonsense because you can just look at houses, oceanside houses, and insurance on those. So if the insurance companies, which are the most motivated companies to figure out if the ocean levels are going to rise, are still allowing people to get insurance on certain oceanside properties that would be wiped out if there were rising sea levels from global warming caused by polar ice caps melting, then that would make sense. But there isn't because they still let you get loans on them. They're still buying them, and like beachfront properties still being bought up. So that is it's suspicious. You know what I mean? Like if the elites, not that there is like some group of like the elites, but like you think about it, like people with the most money would have the most know because they'd be able to hire people to do the research for them. I can't do all the research because I have children and have to support my wife and family and like have to, you know what I mean? Like I have to stay in shape, like gotta like plan for my future. Like I don't have time to figure out all the world's problems. I really don't. I tell myself that all the time. Like you don't have time for all the world's problems. Just focus on your own problems. But rich people do have time to focus on the world's problems. They have time to focus on lots of problems because they have lots of money and they're able to use that money to focus on whatever they want. I mean, like, if you have like Donald Trump level money, then you could sit down and be like, I'm going to hire myself a team of graduate geologists and climatologists and like all these people and predict whether or not this stuff, like have them read all the studies and predict whether or not the sea levels will rise and wipe out this oceanfront property. Because if it would, then that would change the value of the oceanfront property. And you could like, there's various ways people could profit from that. I don't really want to get into it. I mean, like you could just like buy the property behind it because that's going to get, there's all this stuff. But anyway, so they would be doing that if they believed that this were going to happen. But since they're not, or there's no indication that they are. Again, I mean, I can't verify this to the best of my ability because I'm not rich yet. So I have to, again, like this is like my vision is getting wealthier so I can afford to take the time to figure all this stuff out because I think this stuff is really interesting and important. So basically, yeah, like there's no indication the world's going to end, but people thinking the world's going to end, this kind of like doomerism that goes around. I love that doomerism. Those memes are great. But the doomerism that goes around is it's this lack of a vision thing. And then I think so also the fact that OnlyFans thing, Brett Weinstein talks about this, like the the woman turned to OnlyFans because there are no suitable partners in their age bracket, or no one suitable for marriage who's moving towards marrying them. That's partly due to economic factors, but that's also partly due to like the porn thing. It's a feedback loop, because if you're spending all your time watching porn, then you're not going to be moving forward in life. And if you lack the motivations that sex provides, like this is another thing Brett Weinstein talked about that was so important. He said that sex is meant to be an exploration between two people and a bonding exploration. So when you figure out in the weird twisted way you do through porn, sex through porn, you're removing your ability to pair bond, because a lot of the pair bonding is that exploration with the other person. You can still have that per se. Not, I mean, really not if you're watching porn while you're doing it, you have to stop watching porn. But with like so many people watching porn, like I think like 35% of internet searches are for porn. It's insane. Like this is a huge problem. Like, I think we're gonna see I'm trying to crack my back of this chair. It's not gonna work, but we're gonna see fertility rates dropping, and in some ways it's acting like a filter, like a giant filter for the future. So the people who are distracted by various things, and I mean, this is also like, again, everyone tries to justify whatever they're doing and say like, what I'm doing is the best thing. So like, I'm not going to stand here on my soapbox and say I am completely immune to bias and everything I say is completely and utterly perfect. I am objective in every way. If you disagree with me, it is the same as disagreeing with God. I'm not going to say that. It's freaking crazy. But what I will say is I've looked at the cards. Like before I got in the pot of married people with kids, I looked at it and I'm like, that's a better pot to be in. I mean, here's a great reason. So scams keep getting more complex. So let's say at the end of the day, you're getting scammed by like really intelligent Nigerians when you're like 90, and you don't have any kids or anyone close to you who's young enough to figure out that it's a scam, and you end up like homeless. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be brain dead at one point. You want someone who loves you there, because otherwise you're just trusting some nameless, faceless system to care for you, which doesn't seem smart to me. But anyway, moving on, just to give you a little realist, I mean, like really, like there's reasons to have children that are purely selfish. Not that you should have children for purely selfish reasons, but people seem to think that having children is purely selfless, which is, I mean, it's like selfish and selfless. It's like, it's wonderful. I mean, I love my children. I think it's amazing. I think ultimately the reason I wanted them was, I wanted them before I met my wife, but like I really wanted them with my wife as like an expression of love with her, because that's I think a healthy motivation for wanting kids. Is like, I really love you, and like just as an expression of our love, like that would be amazing to like create another human being that's like both of us, and we both love the human being, and it's amazing. And they grow up and you teach them things, and like they like love you, and then they go meet someone who's like kind of was like probably like you if you did a good job, but like also very different. And then maybe, I don't know, like you hopefully be like the person your kids decide to be with. But and then they go have like their own, and it's just so interesting. Like people keep peopling and doing that thing. And I think that also it's like it was a funny thing. My wife and I were talking about this. We have some jokes about this. We were saying, like, what's there to do if you don't have kids? And we're like, and I think like, I want to get this right, because it was this really like cool thing. But like, I think we ended up saying like, if you want to do anything, I don't know, but the punchline was that like, you're either doing something that was made by someone's child or with someone's child. So in the sense, people who denigrate having children are denigrating all of creation, or at least all of like human creation and like all people. You're like, oh my God, why would you ever want to have kids? It's like, well, whoever you're saying that to is someone's kids. So for you to say that to not a wall, you needed someone's child. So it's kind of just insane. It's like people just saying like insane, nonsensical things. Like what's the point of having children? It's like, well, you're someone's kid saying that to someone's kid. So like, like, yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why you exist and say things. Tell me, like, tell me why you exist and say things. But like you seem to be so against it. But it's odd. So anyway, though, hello, random person watching. I don't know who you are. You can let me know your name. It'd be interesting. 'Cause it just like pops up. It's interesting. Like throughout the thing, I'm making this for posterity, but like throughout the thing, people will pop up and it goes down. But yeah, people having kids, and they'll have kids or not have kids. And at the end of the day, it really, like, the future, like if you want to influence the future, if you're kind of like invested in the future, have kids, because kids are at least going to build your future. Like if you have kids successfully, your kids will build their own lives and then invite you into their lives. So now your future is better because there's like more people who are uniquely invested in your interests. Because like my dad, like, and I have tons of money. I'm gonna like, I'm not gonna tell him to say all the things I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do them because like it'd be. I don't want to like, you know what I mean? Like, but like I'm gonna, needless to say, like I'm gonna take care of my dad very well, and like my brother, obviously, and my sister, who knows what she's gonna do. But like, if you have kids and you raise them well, they're gonna be invested in taking care of you. So then, like, when they benefit, you benefit too, which is unique. Because most of the time, when you benefit, someone else loses it, or at least like, you know what I mean? Like if my boss pays me more, then he gets less money. Like maybe not in some more abstract sense. It's actually more true. If he pays me more, I'll work harder, be more invested in him. I won't be looking for other jobs on the side, and then he'll actually get more money because it's more investment from me. But again, like that's like vision for the future. The boss has a vision for a greater future for the company. So therefore, he's willing to pay his employee more in the short term and lose money in the short term for the long term gain. And that's again like having this vision. So my ultimate vision for the future is one where I have unlimited access to organic food of the highest quality. I have unlimited access to, I want to travel unlimitedly. Like I want to unlimit myself so I can unlimit my potential. And then from there, I want to like create a bunch of companies and stuff. But basically, my plan for this is home services company, make money with the home services company. Home services company money goes into online businesses. First thing I'm going to be marketing is an insomnia course, just a complete course on how to make your sleep better, how to improve your sleep, everything I learned about everything at least that I learned that I can communicate about insomnia. I'm going to make a whole course for that. Probably make a supplement line off that because I've been thinking like, how am I going to do the supplement line? Because I want to make my own supplement line because I have to cap my own supplements. So I already make my own supplements, and it's a pain in the butt because I have to make them all by hand. So I just want to buy them in bulk from someone who makes them perfectly. So I'd rather just start my own line than provide them to other people. I'm like, okay, this would be cool, and this would provide me with money. I could then use this money. Like my long-term goal really is to start the series of like home services, insomnia course, according to the .com secrets and that whole thing. Like go read Russell Brunson stuff. Best sales and marketing stuff for this online era. I mean, you have to know other sub skills too to make money off of it. But really great framework, like amazing framework. And everyone you see making money online is using some variation of the information that he conveys, I believe. That's from like 4 or 5 years of aggressively working in this space. 24/7 and only thinking about this and treating it like it is my full-time competitive sport. And anyway, just because I'm tasting it, funny enough. What I did before the podcast, which is awesome for energy metabolism, I do this before wrestling or jiu-jitsu now. I do this before like my exercise walking period of the day, which is eat a bunch of carbs or energy sources like carbs and fat and protein if you're on carnivore or keto. Like just energy source, easily digestible. That's what you want to think. Energy source, easily digestible, makes you feel good. Whatever balance of protein, carbs, and fat does that for you, whatever combination or variation of selection of balances. Eat that, take some digestive acids, take some digestive enzymes or whatever, then take caffeine. Green tea really helps too, but just then take caffeine, like 100 milligrams, 50 to 100 milligrams, and it forces you to digest the food really quickly, forces the stuff into your bloodstream. And then if you're doing something that's kind of exertive, like right now I'm thinking a lot because I'm trying to synthesize information and be very engaging. My brain's working really hard, and it's allowing me to be much more creative and much more dynamic. Than even you saw me at the beginning of the video, because it's like kicking in. It's like the digested food and just going right to my brain. Works amazing for physical activity, walks, all this stuff. I try to like structure my day where like wake up, do my stretching or whatever, eat a bunch of food, take my stimulants, and then do my walk as that kicks in, do my physical activity as it's kind of like starting to peak, and then eat a little bit more, and then just do my work as all that energy's in my brain. My brain's just calmed down and like chilled out from all the physical activity, and I got a ton of work done. And this is like a combination of like Ray Pete, who's, again, this is probably my vision for the future. So I'm really interested in taking everything I've learned about health, fitness, and high performance, and continuing to develop this into like just like how fit and healthy and high performing can humans be. I really want to know. Like, I'm just really interested, partly selfishly because I didn't sleep for like 19 years. So there's this part of me that's like, I won't say disturbed or scared, but part of me is like, what did that do to my body and brain? And am I going to suffer from that later in life? And I'm like, I'm not going to suffer from that. Like just no way. Like I'm just not gonna. I decided I'm not going to. So I'm just going to figure out everything I possibly can about health, fitness, and high performance. So even if I would have had problems, I won't. And yeah, and then also I just like want to really crush and dominate competitive sports. I've been really unhealthy before, like just not even like I was making unhealthy decisions, like just my health started failing because of autoimmune, whatever related problems. I watch other videos. So I've experienced that before, and that's like horrible. And like one of my worst fears is like being in a totalitarian state that's only allowing me access to like soy gruel. So my health is just dying, and I'm like having insomnia, and I'm like just withering, and like I have to just like watch my family watch me wither to a shell of like my former self while I see the world around me deteriorate into a horrible hellscape future for my wife and children, brother and sister. So I'm just like, no, like no way am I allowing that to happen. So this communication thing. I'm like, part of me putting this information out there is me trying to prevent that from happening, because the more of you know how to be healthy, then you'll be invested in the same things I'm invested in, which will give those things more money. Like more people who understand that eating meat, grass-fed meat, organic fruit, and whatever, all the stuff that I'm taking is good, the easier it is for me. Like if you understand by taking these specific supplements at these specific ways, like at these specific formulations without all this binders and whatever stuff, if you understand why that's good for you, then I can pay people to make my supplements so I don't have to keep making them by hand, because that's a pain in the butt. It takes up my time, and then I can have more time to then use the time to research more health, fitness, high performance stuff, to share the information with you, so then more people can get that information. Then you guys don't have to die, and your brains can work better. So now when your brains are working better, you can figure more stuff out to solve more problems around the world and get the information out to everyone else so they can invent more things, so I can have more stuff for me that makes me wealthier. But also, like, we can just get information out there so all the people who like the stuff that I like can come be with me in my little tribe, and then we can all pool our resources together to buy, like, I don't know, just a huge swath of land somewhere and declare it our own country and have the entire country be full of like grass-fed farms, organic farms, like really awesome like medical facilities, really awesome health facilities, really awesome athletic facilities, like jiu-jitsu gyms, saunas, like just like all the cool stuff that I like outdoor parks for like actually just everything I like. You know what I mean? Like I'm like, how can I use the internet now, which is this possibility that's never existed before, to get everyone I like, or everyone who likes the same things as me. And I just have to like you super great in a personal level, because like whatever, you know, like everyone, but like hopefully I do. I mean, that'd be great. But like as long as we share a vision, without for lack of vision, the people perish. As long as we share a vision, we can work together to create the future that we both like, that vision. So I want to communicate this vision, communicate the reasons for the vision, communicate useful information to people so they cannot die, and help me with the vision. And just do that through the internet, because like that's now possible. So I think that like the main way that we can create really cool things, ultimately it's always been recruiting people, but like just recruiting people to do stuff. You know what I mean? Like the more people there are, the more we can create an awesome world. Like China and the whole credit system thing, it's freaky. I don't want the social credit system. Like, I don't want them to like microchip me and take money from my bank account when I'm jaywalking and they identify with the face thing and the gate identification and like kind of scary. AI in some dystopian future, very scary. AI in a future where everyone understands that a more populous planet with more free people produces more wealth. Elon Musk does the whole interplanetary thing. We become interplanetary. I mean, there's a cool future for humans out there. There's a really cool, I mean, even like desert and stuff, like we can make so much more of the planet habitable. So there's really no reason to be pessimistic about the future. And I think that ultimately, that's my cat. I think ultimately it would be, it's just silly, you know what I mean? Like, but I think that like where this is going to come from, it's not going to be the universities. The universities are corrupted. This is where it like gets depressing. It's like the universities are corrupted. My university education was like, it's just horrible. I mean, like I'll make a whole video on like all the reasons it was terrible. It's like really terrible in just quality. Like I just in this way, like I paid you for that. Like if I like got a burger at McDonald's that was the comparative quality of advertised to like delivered, I would be very upset and call the commerce department. Come here, kitty, if you want rubs. Rubs, kitty, come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Come here. Okay. Maybe a bit of the Godfather. Oh, come on. It's Godfather aesthetic. I just like cats, so don't. He's meowing. But anywho, yeah, I don't like that. Like, I don't like that dystopian vision of the future. And I think a lot of that comes down to like resources. So the colleges, I don't think are going to solve it because they're just not going to come from there. And also though, the nature of like, so school, for instance, grades are positively like they're more strongly connected. Certain research shows they're more strongly connected to agreeableness than intelligence. I mean, they're certainly more connected to conscientiousness than intelligence, but they may be even more connected to agreeableness, especially at early ages. And maybe less so in college, maybe less so in graduate school, but like especially early college. I mean, I can just tell you, like in the first classes I all had to take, the first 2 years of college, were all like, write down this opinion verbatim. I don't have this opinion. Then I'm going to fail you. I go talk to the dean, everyone. Nothing we can do. And it's just like this highly, like they're like making you just literally just forcibly brainwashing people. Like it was just nuts. Like, it was like, you have to write this or we're going to fail you. And I was like, can't I just write a really good, it was like stuff like hunting is immoral. Like doctors who insist on putting male transgender patients in the female wing where they're biologically similar people are wrong and should be prosecuted criminally. I'm not even joking a little bit. She gave me a D- in the class because if you get an F, you can complain and file for some sort of like thing where like they go audit the thing professionally and like it has to be recorded. She gave me the lowest possible grade that you could get. And then give me a single piece of graded work back. And that's just one thing I'm not going to get to. But literally, like, it's just indoctrination. It's evil, brainwashing indoctrination that is passing off as education. So for people, I mean, at least at UMass, where I went, for you to do well at UMass and get into a higher program there, you have to just and like say whatever they tell you. So it's agreeableness. So like they're selecting scientists for conformity of thought. So I think that largely like a lot of the scientific data, and just you can go through the methods of like a lot of the medical literature out there, it's horrible. I mean, like here's just the basic thing like that everyone can verify. Look at the number of studies that either extrapolate out epistemological survey data with weak correlations to make globalized health statements, or the number of in vitro petri dish single cell studies that are extrapolated to whole organisms. It's like 70% of them. It's insane. It's like, and that's just off the bat, not even like going any further. Like, so the quality of studies is terrible. And obviously it is because we selected people for conformity of thought. So everyone's just using the same methods that don't work. which is how you get insane studies. I'm just gonna probably make a section of my YouTube channel just dedicated to like going over insane studies that became wildly popular. That's awesome too. I'll do that because that would be really, really helpful for some people. I'll find like the most influential cultural studies that are completely nonsense. I'll just go through the methods and I'll be like, okay, this is the methods they used. I mean, this stuff's behind a paywall too, but like I'll scrounge up the money. You know what I mean? Like to get the money from those services, I'll scrounge up the money and go buy all the paywall stuff so I can actually get access to the stuff and I can review it for you guys, because that's important, because this stuff is nonsense. Like there's kidney disease studies that are based off of like, so they're like, okay, so they noticed that people, like there was like a study on 12 people. I'm serious. So like when people say high protein causes kidney problems, this is what they're talking about. Usually this study done on people with like 12 or 16 people with kidney disease, or elderly people with kidney disease. And they monitored, I think they like gave some of them like 150 grams of protein, which they called like a high protein diet, which isn't a high protein diet or something. It was some like moderate amount of protein. Like it wasn't like some crazy amount of protein. It was like even 100 grams. Like I looked at it, I was like, that's what they considered high. They gave them that much protein and they noticed this one thing go up. Okay, cool. Why is that significant? Okay, well, there's another study that's completely unrelated that surveys something else. I kind of forget this one. I've got to go through it. And it notices that when I think stressed kidneys from some toxin produce more of this. They produce lots more of other things too, but it's also more of this. So they're like, oh, clearly this must be a stress indicator that protein causes stress on your kidneys. It's nonsense. Like that's literally what it is. I'm going to go through. I'm going to show you with screenshots the studies because I've read them like tens of thousands. I did the math in another live. I have a conservative estimate is 14,600 hours of reading studies I've spent. At least over 10,000, like well over 10,000. So I put in my 10,000 hours. Nonsense. And I can just show you. I mean, it's just like basic stuff. It's not even like I'm some like elite, brilliant genius who's like figured out the hack to figuring out how studies work. Like I just read them and then I ask myself, like, does that make sense? Like, here's a great example. So there's a study that shows that that would be awesome. There's a study that shows that green tea lowers testosterone. Go look it up. You probably find it's like the one that's like when people cite green tea lowers testosterone, this is usually the one they're referring to. And what it is they take a testicle cell, they put it in a petri dish, and then they put water in one of the petri dishes and they look at it and they say, okay, that's the control. How's it producing testosterone in the water? And then they take an extract of green tea and they put that in the other petri dish with some water too. And they're like, how's it producing testosterone in this one? And they noticed that in the second one, it wasn't producing as much testosterone. And what they didn't notice is that it was a soy-based extraction of green tea. And it literally just says that in the methods. It says, we use a soybean oil-based extraction of green tea. And I'm like, so off of a petri dish study on a single cell. I mean, first of all, like my testicles don't eat green tea. I don't inject green tea into my testicles. I drink it. So there's a completely different route of ingestion and metabolism. Ignoring the fact that they introduced a completely new variable that was separate from the control. I mean, so there's just two incredibly fatal flaws in this incredibly popular study. And it's so interesting because I'm like, doesn't anyone like read the methods and just ask themselves, like, why does anyone think this makes sense? I don't know. So part of my vision for the future is a body of medical literature that's like really, really good. And like, I want that. Like, that'd be really awesome if we had people who were like going through and like doing that and like whatever. Like, I could do that. Like, I want to definitely like do my own studies. That would be really cool. I can have people doing their own studies. So I have this, but I mean, I want to give credit where credit's due. I'll make another video on all the great things Western medicine's done because I think Western medicine's amazing and I owe them my life in many ways. So I'm not complaining about Western medicine at all. But it's just understand that it's like basically wartime medicine, and most of the developments, from the way I understand it, in Western medicine, in allopathy, came from wartime. And it's kind of used to dealing with 18 to 24-year-old males who are already healthy and already don't have issues. So it's really good at, like, let's say you have like a skin disease. Well, they're really amazing at that because skin diseases are, that's probably my wife calling me and telling me she wants me to come home. And you know what? Because it's Sunday and because I've already been doing this for an hour and because I know I can get back into it tomorrow and because I'm aiming to do it for about an hour because it's all about consistency. I don't even know if it's her. I haven't even seen. But even if it's not her, I think this is a good time to end. And yeah, we'll come back tomorrow on more vision for the future because I think this is really important. I need to articulate out my vision for the future. And I want to do that in the broadest way possible because by doing that in the broadest way possible, I can reach all the people who are interested. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not just a health, fitness, and high performance guy. Like, I have interests in everything and I want to talk about all that. So people who also have those interests can come meet me, find me, and they can, like, let's say, like, I talk about researching all this stuff and you're like, hey, I'm in medical school. I'm actually at university. I have access to information behind the paywall. Do you want me to help you with that series? I'd be like, yeah, that'd be cool. You know what I mean? I can just I can get people to like come and help me, and I can use the people that are born and other people's children to help me, and then we can all create the vision together. So that's going to make me more powerful. Like, I teamed up with my brother in business, and together we're way more powerful because he's the automation tech genius. I have vision. He has vision too. I have vision. I have sales. I have psychology. I have certain things that I bring to the table. He has certain perspectives he brings to the table. Together, we're very, very effective, and we push each other too. And that's also what this is too. This is also trying to call the community together, call together a community of people who are interested in all the things that I'm talking about, because I think these things are awesome. You guys probably will too. And together, we can make a future full of these things for everyone so we all prosper. And we can share our knowledge too, because also Hosea, my people perish for lack of knowledge. On that note, done. Until tomorrow, I want to make this a daily thing, even though it's going to be challenging. Consistency and challenge.